In the Central Valley, A1 Combat as he turns professional here tonight.
His opponent, Dominic Pasquale, and I'm not sure if they have much knowledge about Dominic, but he's actually a guy that trains with us a little bit.
I got here and I found out that Dominic Pasquale has never fought. Not AMI, not pro, nothing.
Not in our practice room either.
Wow.
And
so he's just going to jump right into the fire.
No. So the story here is Dom Pasquale trains jiu-jitsu at my gym.
Okay.
He trains mixed martial arts at UFC Gym Rockland, which is another one of my gyms.
Okay.
And he's got great people around him. Ezra, kickboxing world champion, one of his coaches.
Yeah. Ezra Regan?
Yeah, Ezra Regan is one of his stand-up coaches. He's got James Irvin. He's got Orion Kosi that are at that gym. Hector Facharo, who's fought for us for the
Hector
belt.
Fajardo. Yep.
Fajardo,
Yep.
sorry. I always mess it up. They always make fun of me. But Dom is going against another jiu-jitsu player, and Dom is a high-level black belt.
Okay.
Under Dustin Akbari, who's a world champion and my longest-standing teammate. So I know Dom as a jiu-jitsu player, as a grappler, but I don't know him as a fighter.
Right.
We're going to find out.
And it's always going to be different. Arturo Burgos, of course, a fighter and a jiu-jitsu guy from the Scrap Pack. Let's send it up to Garrett to bring out Dom Pasquale.
And now, ready to make his way to the cage, Dominic Pasquale.
So Dominic Pasquale, we talked about him a little bit while we were bringing in Arturo. Let's talk a little bit about Arturo Burgos. And as I said, amateur fighter from out here in the Central Valley. He has fought some studs. Lake Gee, he lost to Lake Gee. He lost to Josh Dillon. Josh Dillon, by the way, just won California's Amateur Fighter of the Year, Young Fighter of the Year. So,
and Lake Gee is a force to be reckoned with. He's been in our room before also. That's a very tough fight for anybody. So he's faced some high-level opponents and wanting to come back and make a statement.
Absolutely. And he was set to face Brandon Dwyer here tonight. That fight fell through. So stepping in was your buddy Dom Pasquale. And we're going to find out tonight what happens when a guy who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu but has never fought jumps into an A1 combat cage to fight a guy who's fought 4 times.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite ways to work out, the only way I really like to work out these days, is getting into jiu-jitsu practice and rolling. And I always grab around with Dom because he's so tough to go with. He's physically extremely strong for the size. He's got an in-depth knowledge of BJJ, and I've been quizzing him on how he's doing up sparring with the guys in his corner, Hector and Michael, and he says he's been doing great. So I'm excited to see the fruits of his labor and for him to perform the way he thinks he can.
Absolutely. Let's check out the table of the tape between these two fighters. And 32 years old for Pasquale, 34 years old, 2 years the senior for Burgos. Both guys making their pro debuts here tonight, although we know Burgos has 4 fights under his belt as an AMI. 134.3 for Pasquale, 135.7, just over a pound difference there for Burgos. And of course, a 1-inch height advantage, 5'9", for Burgos and 5'8" for Pasquale. When you were describing him, you sort of reminded me of my cousin, Darren Whitey Cooley, who's just a great jiu-jitsu guy, but it never really transferred over into the MMA game. So let's see what happens here tonight.
Well, I'm curious to see, and one thing that Dustin Akbari is really known for is his leg lock attack on top of being a high-level wrestler with his jiu-jitsu. I'm curious if Dom's going to be going for leg locks. I don't like leg locks in MMA fights very often because a tough guy will let his knee rip.
Gotcha. Let's send it up to Garrett and see what happens.
A1 Combat stays in the bantamweight division for our next bout. Brought to you by Cali Acai, California Energy, Amazonian Soul. Find them online at caliacai.com. We're now ready to go 3 5-minute rounds. Introducing first the Legacy Farms blue corner. At 5 feet 9 inches tall, he weighed in at 135.7 pounds. Tonight he makes his professional debut. Representing Scrap Pack and Burgos Jiu-Jitsu Academy, he fights out of Bakersfield, California, Arturo Burgos. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the Legacy Farms red corner. Standing 5 feet 8 inches tall, his official weight 134.3 pounds. Also making his professional debut, he represents Team Alpha Male and fights out of Rockland, California, Dominic Pasquale. Your referee, Ed Calantes.
Looks like a jiu-jitsu guy. But I'll tell you what, Burgos comes from the Burgos Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Right.
So we've got 2 high-level jits guys in there.
You know, when you teach jiu-jitsu, you continue to learn jiu-jitsu. You have to break things down. It's a great way to improve your game. So if he's teaching, he's got to know what he's doing.
All right, so the blue tape around the wrist and the scrap pack trunks belong to Burgos. Red tape around the wrist belong to the debuting Dominic Pasquale. Both guys making their pro debuts, but it's Pasquale making his full MMA debut here tonight. And talk about a trial by fire. Second fight, A1 Combat 8. We're live at the Tattoo Palace Hotel Casino Resort. Jim Cooley, the voice of champions, along with the California Kid, UFC Hall of Famer Uriah Faber. And these guys feeling each other out right now.
Yeah, and Burgos is doing a good job of staying long, but he looks like he's backing up.
Burgos is hurt.
Pasquale's landing. I don't think he should have taken him down here.
Yeah, he hurt him.
He landed 2 punches, and both of them stunned him. That's a good sign for Pasquale.
Yeah, when we're sitting here talking about he's a jiu-jitsu guy who's never fought, and he comes out and rocks his opponent with a left hand.
Some guys have that knockout power, and like I said, he's training with high-level professional fighters, professional kickboxers out at UFC Gym in Rockland. And so when he told me his regimen, he's like, hey, I got a job, but this is what I'm doing in addition to being in the gym. I said, all right, let's see what you got. So I'm glad to see that, you know, his hard work is paying off, and he's doing what he's saying.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question it's kind of been over the years people have talked about, because you're talking about knockout power and how some guys just have it. Is it speed or is it power? What causes the knockout? I
think it's precision, and it's also about structure. And a guy like Michael McDonald, who I fought, who's a knockout artist.
Mayday.
You connect, a little skinny guy like that connect with the right structure is in the right place is what makes him so dangerous. And so I think it's a combination of body mechanics and placement.
And you fought him in Sacramento, the 916. Picked up a W there.
What did I say about the leg locks?
And there it is.
This is an Akbari jiu-jitsu
It looks like
attack.
an Achilles lock almost for a second there. He's going to twist it, obviously, here in a minute.
I've been in these attacks with Pasquale, and he's nasty. He's going to rip a leg off.
This reminds me of some Val Ignatov stuff back in the day. Look at this. I got to give it to Burgos. He's rolling with it.
He's rolling with it. It's
doing what he needs. He's out of room, though, to roll.
Yeah. It's funny. I did a leg attack similar to this when I won the WC belt here at the Tattoo Palace, and it ended up just like this, me getting elbowed in the face. I don't like leg locks for MMA unless it's to get out of a spot, not to leave a dominant spot.
I'm interested to see. Well, Pasquale looks tired. I'm not gonna say he doesn't. His hands are down now. He's breathing pretty heavy, and it's awfully early in this fight to get tired. But let's see what he does here. He landed some big shots before they went to the ground. Does he still have that power?
I'm surprised to see how poised he is, though. I mean, he's taking a deep breath, and I don't like that he's putting his hands down for moments, but he's walking the guy down like he did at the beginning of the fight and landed a big punch. Boom, another one right in the gut.
This kid's got dynamite in his hands, and there's a lot of redness on the right side of the face of Arturo Burgos. I'll tell you what, you talk about him being calm, but that's jiu-jitsu. Some of these guys look like they're half asleep down there, and they're thinking 13 steps ahead.
Not only is that jiu-jitsu, but this is a human that believes in himself. I mean, you can tell that. Burgos is in the same boat, but he looks a little nervous. We talk about ring generalship. One guy is looking antsy, the other guy is looking calm. That counts sometimes.
And I like the way Burgos is checking the leg kicks. He's still staying smart. He's doing the things he needs to do. Now he lands one of his own outside leg kick, inside leg kick there from Pasquale, and now they will exchange leg kicks, something we hadn't seen quite yet in this fight.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things that I'm seeing right now is calmness under fire and from Dom. I think that when you're not extremely experienced in stand-up and you haven't had boxing or kickboxing fights, sticking to the basics and fundamentals is the best idea.
Right.
You hurt a guy, then you can get wild on it. But 1-2s, making sure you're landing right on the spot, that's the key. And Dom's doing a great job of that.
Burgos is reaching for his punches, kind of like Ronda Rousey used to do, like not really stepping into his shots, not moving forward as he throws his jab or his overhand right. I'd like to see him move forward when he throws those punches. When you reach out like that and you miss, you leave your chin wide open.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be his game plan to stay long because he's a long fighter, or it could be a little bit of a gun shy to get hit again like he's been rocked. But either way, yeah, he needs to have the intention to hurt. I think Dom has that. Burgos, I don't see that as much.
I think Burgos, Dom Pasquale's done enough to win round one. Should it end like it's ending right now with them just sort of exchanging shots? You had the punch that hurt him, the takedown. He went for that leg lock. Yes, Burgos got out of it, but then immediately Pasquale got back to his feet and landed some more shots. So I got to give round one to Dominic Pasquale.
I think so too, but you never know with the judges, as they say.
And we've seen that a lot here in
Yeah.
A1 Combat.
2 more big strikes that land from Dom, and he's not throwing volume, he's throwing precision. I like that. Staying poised.
All right, so Dominic Pasquale, first time ever in a mixed martial arts combat or in a mixed martial arts contest, and he looks really well. And not just jiu-jitsu. Here you see that big left that landed that stumbled Dom, and you said he made a mistake going for the takedown here. He should have continued to throw shots.
Yeah, he spent all that time getting close, closing the distance. He lands his one big punch, gets Burgos to close up just a little bit, and next thing you know, he's going for the legs. He could have gone and tried to hit on the button again.
Absolutely. And this looked pretty good right here, this heel hook. But Burgos did exactly what he was supposed to do. He rolled and rolled and rolled until he couldn't roll anymore. And then he did what you said, which was throw shots from the top just to sort of end that submission attempt.
In that attempt, the thing I hate about leg attacks is ending up on the bottom afterwards. And like I said, Dustin Akbari is a master at leg locks and jiu-jitsu and grappling in general, one of the founders of Team Alpha BJJ. When you don't get the submission, you need to end up on top. And there is an exit strategy that ends you up on top. I hope Dom heard some of that in the corner, or at least made a mental note this time around.
Absolutely. Burgos' last fight took place April 22nd, 2022. It was a third-round submission win. So, like we talked about, he's got some jits. But right now, he needs to figure out how to compete on the feet should they stay standing in this round.
Right, this is the second round. It looks like Burgos is making a little bit more of a commitment to move forward, but now he's back on his heels again.
And that's going to be a coach thing, right? Saying, hey, you got to get in there and move forward.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like that, he gets taken down again.
And what you can't tell, but I know from going with Dom, this guy's extremely strong. And he's one of those guys that you touch him and he's feels like stone. Chad Mendes is like that, and it's not a buoyant kind of body. It's a hard body. He lands one of these elbows or picks you up and slams you, you're going to get ragdolled. And I think Burgos having a closed guard against another black belt, high-level black belt, is probably not the best thing to start around with.
And he's going, let's say he's got half butterfly.
He's posted on the hip, which is good, but a guy like Dom has seen that. He's been in one of the best grappling rooms on the planet at our gym, and
rolling with Fabio Prado.
Rolling with Fabio and Dustin and Samson and myself and all the guys. But on bottom, Burgos is staying safe, but you got to get out of there. You don't want to lock yourself down in a losing situation.
Right, and you got to score, which he's trying to do from the bottom, but how much of that really counts when you're being dominated on the ground? Now, for his part, though, Pasquale's not really going for any subs. He's just sort of holding him down right now, and now it looks like he's going to use this guillotine attempt to try to stand up, and Pasquale says, no, I don't think so, and grabs both his legs to pull him back down. Looking to wall walk there, though.
Yeah, and Dom Pasquale is really, he's savvy when it comes to chokes. He's getting attacked by chokes a lot in practice, and I think for Burgos, he's doing some of the right things, being offensive from the bottom, continuing to move. He needs to find a more active way to create space to get to his knees. Lockdowns like this are not going to win you.
And for a high-level jiu-jitsu guy, he's not going to a hip at all. He's just sort of staying flat on his back as well.
Well, that's the thing about high-level jiu-jitsu. When you're going with another legitimate high-level jiu-jitsu player, you don't want to do just jiu-jitsu.
Gotcha.
You got to do something extra.
You got to find another way to solve
right.
the riddle. And as he goes to get up again, he's taken back down again by Dominic Pasquale. But Burgos doing the best he can from the bottom. He's tried a couple guillotines, but he's mostly done that, Uriah, to use it to try to wall walk and get up.
Right.
Which Pasquale is not allowing him to do. He's just very, very dominant on the top. Now you see a body lock from the bottom, but again, like you said, the closed guard isn't going to cut it.
Right. I don't think that there's Corey McKenna in the background. We think we're going to have her join us for some commentary later.
Yeah, try to get her in the booth.
Yeah, she's and her fiance is actually in the corner of Dom at the moment. One of his training partners and one of his trainers fought for the title here at A1 Combat against our current champ, the man, the myth, 135-pound
Peyton Talbot.
Beast Peyton Talbot.
The surfer kid, that's what I call him.
He's all sorts of stuff, man. He's a surfer kid. He's a creative kid. He's a
highly
intelligent kid.
Yes.
And he's a beast in the cage, right?
You got a guy who can fight like Peyton Talbot, but he also has the mind, because he's like a psychology major or something like that as well. Guys, UFC celebrates 30 years. Check out their entire catalog on UFC Fight Pass. It is 30 years of UFC. You do not want to miss that UFC Fight Pass this year. Up kicks coming in from Burgos.
A minute 20 left for Burgos, and you can't sit here if you're going to win a round. And Dom's doing a good job of staying right in his face, but
he's not kicking or punching or really doing anything.
When I was in that situation where a guy was below me, this happened against Jeff Curran and multiple other guys. You kick, heel strike like George St. Pierre used to do, like a heel, axe kick. Put pressure on him. You have to shake your knee so you're not getting hyperextended on your knee. But to be honest, this is winning the round for Dom. So why really change it?
Right.
If you're winning in your debut and the guy's letting you take control.
Okay, listen, you're one of the most famous fighters in the world. You've done everything there is to do. How much did it affect you early in your career when you had what some people would consider a boring fight? You're not really doing anything, and the crowd's getting very restless as they are now.
Oh man, I would.
You could hear them as soon as they stood up.
Reamed my buddies that were professional ball busters if it was a boring fight. So it was always bad at the after party.
I like it. Well, they're back on their feet now. Burgos throws a teep, looking to get active. Dominic Pasquale breathing pretty heavy, hands down at his side.
He needs to get his hands up. He's gonna give this guy a way back in the fight.
And with that mouth open is how you go to sleep, Uriah.
And this is one thing that you see from a guy that has not made the time to get in the room with the series of kills. He landed another punch at the end that rocked him. But this is where experience in the room counts, and this is where Dom might want to say, okay, look, I need to put work aside a little bit and get some of these rounds in with the unity of the team versus, working around his schedule. Sometimes you got to make that commitment, and we'll talk to him about that after this fight.
Absolutely. Your coach is picking you apart, Dominic, and you're in big trouble. Looking at the highlights here, this is Pasquale on top. Burgos landing hammer fist and shots from the bottom, trying his hardest to wall walk and get out of this situation. And unfortunately, that was most of the round. However, toward the end of the round, Burgos was able to stand, landed some pretty good shots. It looked like Dominic was tired, although Dominic landed a big left at the end. Although it wasn't pretty, I've got Dominic Pasquale up 2018 after 2 rounds to nothing.
That's how I have it. And I think, for you fighters that are listening out there, when it comes down to being fatigued, which you will get no matter what kind of shape you're in, you're going to get fatigued. Fake it. It's a poker face. Move your feet. Add some fakes and feints in there. Don't let everybody know how fatigued you are. And that's a message to you, Dom, to Burgos on the other side, to anybody that's listening at home. This is a bluffing game as much as it is a pressure game. Here we go, starting out.
Round number 3. We have 2 rounds up for for Dominic Pasquale. At least we think it is. It's very unofficial. But I think Uriah Faber knows what he's talking about. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes, not all the time. Big head kick from Burgos. He tried that earlier on and almost landed it. That's one of those, if it lands, it could really be a problem kind of kicks.
Burgos is doing a great job of trying to set up that high kick. I think if I were him, I would throw more of those extremely high kicks or an extremely low kick. And he threw one to the leg there. Dom, on the other hand, needs to get a jab going. He's got a great cross in the backhand, but throw some jabs out there if you have it. Throw some push kicks down the middle.
Right.
I wouldn't like to see him throwing any low kicks at this point in his career.
I'll tell you what, Burgos is missing a cardinal opportunity here because Pasquale's very tired and Burgos is very far behind. He needs to move forward. And I'll tell you what, you talk about wearing damage. Look at his back. I mean, his back is messed up. The side of his face is messed up. He needs to make a statement in round number 3 and really take advantage of the fatigue of Dominic Pasquale.
I don't think Dom's too fatigued here. I mean, he looks like he's breathing heavy. His eyes on his target. He's walking forward. He's not pushing the pace, but he's keeping his own pace and doing a good job with it. So,
and he knows he's winning, so no real reason to take a lot of chances.
Well, I think this is just his skill set at the moment, and I had the same thing when I started fighting. I had a skill set that was
big left hand.
That was a nice one from Pasquale again. Another one right on the button. He's really good with that straight shot.
There's nothing scarier than a jiu-jitsu black belt who can throw heavy shots accurately. I mean, that's very scary combination.
And this is fun to see that Dom, that was a big punch that snapped Burgos' head back. Those are landing every single time. I'd like to see the punch stats and the accuracy for Dom. That's pretty impressive, to be honest.
He got eye poked there, and he said something to referee Ed Calantes, and Burgos said, hey, I did it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can see, keep going, Dom. That's the message. There's a kick again.
Yeah, defend yourself at all times. Because Ed definitely was not in a position to see that. That's not Ed's fault, but he just wasn't there.
So, Scrap Pack, we've got Gilbert Melendez, who fought out here at the WC.
Yes.
You've got a connection with Jake Shields, the Diaz brothers, and you're seeing a similar style where he's having a volume play, and those whipping punches can really hurt someone, but you have to connect on the button, and you have to follow up. So he's not connecting on the button, partially because Dom's staying right in his face and doing small movements, but his intention is right. Volume, but you have to land something. Otherwise, it's for naught.
And I'll tell you what, you were right, Uriah. Dominic Pasquale's not tired. He's just picking his shots.
Yeah.
And guess what? He's picking the right ones because he is still winning this fight.
He's picking one shot. It's
Right.
a straight cross right on the button.
But like you said,
and there he landed it again. That was a nasty one.
And like you said, though, that's his skill set right now. This is his first fight.
Right.
Let's not overlook that. First
Yeah.
fight ever.
And you know what he's doing right now? He's turning the head of the rest of this team that has done some jiu-jitsu with him in the room, and the guys back at UFC Gym Rockland, and letting people know, like, look, he's serious about this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, he's ready to fight.
And how old is Dom now?
Dominic Pasquale happens to be 32 years old.
Right. He's got to come in and he's got to have dominant performances like this. A guy that's 32, he needs to rack up some quick wins.
Gotta
3,
hurry.
4,
Yeah.
and then he can start looking to some bigger opportunities. And
Well, he's in the
wanted
right
this.
place for bigger opportunities. I
Right.
mean, he's fighting on A1 Combat on Fight Pass. His coach knows a few people. You know
That's
a couple
right,
people.
yeah.
So if Pasquale can, and listen, first fight ever, he's got great shots. Yes, it's one shot at a time. It's not necessarily punches and bunches, but he's doing what he needs to do to lead to this, which is
Right.
his bread and butter, the jiu-jitsu.
And Burgos is going to have a slow earned loss if he doesn't find a way to either submit or get up. And there he is now. Now let's see if he can get. Oh,
There's the head kick and it lands.
He tried that over and over again. It finally lands. And now let's see what happens to Pasquale. He looks fatigued.
And he's getting hit. 42 seconds, short time, but it is enough time. But he's firing back. I don't think he's hurt.
He's definitely not hurt. He's just fatigued. I mean, this is a brand new experience for him. Practice is one thing.
Right.
Getting in and fighting is another. And especially, he's winning the fight. He's having his way. That takes energy, too.
This is the first time we've seen them go to the ground and Burgos has ended up on top. And again, that could be a little bit of fatigue. And you take into account the fact that as it is his first fight, he's also got a huge adrenaline dump here tonight.
And this is Burgos' best moments of the fight, to be honest. And let's see how Dom does with 6 seconds left and getting some attacks off the bottom.
Outside of that right leg.
I think it's probably too little too late.
Yes. Look at that leg, though. That right leg of Pasquale. Burgos was landing some big outside leg kicks.
Right. And you look at a guy like Burgos, comes from Gilbert and the Diaz brothers and that kind of pedigree. Those moments at the end of the fight are kind of telling. They think, hey, am I going to win this fight if it were a fight to the death?
Yeah, that's what they say,
that's
too.
What they say, yeah.
Yeah.
And would this go another 20 rounds? He ended on top. That can be a moral victory, even if in a loss sometimes. So I think for Burgos, realizing that is a good thing, even though I feel like he probably lost that fight.
And he threw a right hand right there that Dominic Pasquale came underneath and took him down. Here you see Pasquale on top, as he was for most of this fight, most of the 3 rounds.
That's right. We see Hector in the back,
Hector Fajardo in the
corner.
cage.
We got Michael in the corner, and actually Dom's brother's a black belt as well.
So there you go.
Black
So there's
belt.
all kinds of jiu-jitsu royalty in the cage right now.
That's right.
And guys, that was just the second fight of the first fight of the main card, the second fight of the night. No, second fight of the main card. And second fight of the night, we still have to come Ernie Juarez, Alex Artiga. Diego Bigelow will be taking on Brandon Olson. AJ Perez and Cale Melton make their pro debuts. Art Arcienega and Sergio Quinones will get it on in a Tachi Palace nostalgia fight. Both these guys have fought here. Tons of fights. Main event, flyweight title on the line, Joseph Morales, Anthony Doe. But before we get to that, Uriah Faber, we got to find out who won this fight.
Right.
And I'm
I
sure
think we know, but we don't really know. And I'll tell you, I'd like to see Gil come out to one of these. Is Gilbert here tonight?
he's not. I just saw him last weekend at 559.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him come out to some of these fights. It's really cool to know. Gilbert and I wrestled at the same time. He was at San Francisco State when I was
you
at
were
UC
Davis. Yeah.
We were in these local circuits at the same time. I remember looking at the world rankings when I first started fighting, and he was ranked number 2, number 3 in the world. And it's cool to see a lineage on both sides throwing down tonight.
Absolutely. Let's send it up to Garrett. Let's find out who won this fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to your judges for the decision. Your first judge, Jonathan Magrigliano scores the contest 29-28, Pasquale. Your second judge, Marcos Rosales, scores the contest 29-28, Burgos. And your third and final judge, Ralph McKnight, scores the contest 30-27 for your winner by split decision, Arturo Burgos.
Wow. I did not see that one coming.
Wait a second. Did they just say that they gave all three